Get in, losers. We're going bird of prey hunting.
This week on Mission Log Reactor, can a misfit step up to the plate? And do you sometimes have to fight to make peace? And can we all learn a thing or two about how to have a proper debate?
It's time to chat about Starfleet Academy Season 1, Episode 4, Vox In Excelso. The fate of the Klingon Empire rests in the hands of a lowly cadet. And that's probably fine, right, John?
Sure, no problem.
Hello again, I'm Jessica Lynn Verdi, or JLV, because it's no longer cool to be Jessica, according to the internet.
It's not? I didn't know that.
Maybe
you need to like Klingonize it and have Jess hyphen Ika, an apostrophe. Yeah, something
Jessica.
like that.
It's Jessica. I think you're exactly right. We're the new Karens. I don't love it. But anyway, who are you?
I'm so sorry. I'm John Champion. Hi. And no additional apostrophes or hyphens in my name.
I do like Jessica. I think that's very fun. We're back with a brand new episode of Mission Log Reactor. If you couldn't tell, we're here to share our first blush reactions to the latest Trek episodes as they drop.
That's right. So you can share your thoughts with us. Give us a like, a subscribe, drop a comment. Better yet, chat with us live every Monday night during Starfleet Academy season, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern at patreon.com/missionlog to discuss each week's episode and share your thoughts. It is completely free. That's it. Free 99. Who doesn't love that?
And by the way, social tax is one thing, but
that's it. Yeah. Thank you, by the way, to all of our current Patreon subscribers who got this video and the others early. Now, again, that live chat free to everybody, but if you want it early, you pony up what, $1, Jessica? That's all we need.
$1. It gets you into our Discord. It gets you this video early, and you just get to feel really cool about supporting a show you like.
Exactly. Perfect. All right. Now, you all know how this works by now. We're going to go through the show act by act, and we're going to spoil the hell out of it while we give you our initial thoughts. So if you haven't watched yet, pause now, go watch Starfleet Academy, Vox In Excelso, and then get right back here and listen to what we thought about it. If you have more to say after that, that's where the comments come in. But for now, final spoiler warning. Jessica is going to spare no detail, breaking down the episode in 3, 2, 1.
Nala Chancellor's address goes full on existential crisis a la Mushroom Trip during their first space visit and asks the questions to her students like the universe, how will you keep evolving? The doctor has the cadets battle to the death via debate. And if community taught me anything, facts, not feelings, are the way to win. Something Mir is surprisingly good at, with public speaking being unsurprisingly something Crag is bad at, or maybe not equipped to handle. Mir and Crag unpack a grip of food while talking about what happened during the debate. Despite Mir's attempt to culturally respect Crag, he oversteps by presenting him with warrior stew. And we learn that Jaden Crag is not worthy, and you get a hint that Kronos doesn't exist anymore. Nala calls in Jaden and lets him know that a Klingon refugee freighter has had a catastrophic failure, and Jaden's parents may or may not have been on that ship. It's apparently an event that puts the Klingon species even closer to extinction. A lot has happened in 800 years, John.
So many things. By the way, I think back actually to the premise of Star Trek VI, where the Klingon moon Praxis explodes, and that also puts the future of the Klingon Empire up for grabs. We just don't know who's going to survive, what'll happen, and does this put them in a politically tenuous position where either they may come out ahead or people might take advantage of them. But it's an interesting way to kick off this episode.
I haven't watched the 6th movie in a very long time, so remind me, are the Klingon Empire people in Starfleet at that time?
They are not.
Got it. So this is a
pre-PNG. Yeah, it predates Worf. And even then, and I'll get into it a little bit later about the parallels between Worf and Jaden Crag. But
is it Michael Dorn in 6?
He is, but
That's okay, okay, okay,
he's
I
playing
knew
a
my stuff.
lawyer, and he's like a distant
I
ancestor,
thought I knew
maybe.
okay, I'm
Yeah,
not too
yeah.
far off.
But it's important to know that, the Klingons have not actually joined the Federation, even with Worf. So Worf is a bit of an outsider, and there's a lot of Klingons who sort of look down their ridged noses at Worf.
Ah,
Yeah.
so I misunderstood. I thought I guess it's like a treaty then. They're like there's like
Yep.
a peace agreement sort of, and I'm getting it now.
Yeah, 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 yeah. But I really like that as sort of a baseline understanding because with Jaden Cragg, there are definite parallels, and you see that even after 1,000 years, there may still be some difficulty here on how Klingons assimilate and get along with the Federation at large or Starfleet in particular.
So what we have learned from this series so far is that the Klingons like don't bat an eye of like interspecies mating, but they still don't want to
Yeah,
necessarily
they're down.
mingle. Yeah, they're still I mean, we even get a taste of that coming up.
Yeah,
But what I just wanted to say too, like a little meta info, it's hard to tell what the actor who plays Jayden is doing, but he shared a clip of himself doing the voice. So he said he went through a lot of training, not to mention did meet with Michael Dorn
yep,
to work on this character. I'm sure just like anybody, there's some lines that maybe feel a little disembodied because they probably did post, but
yeah.
it's really cool to see him going the extra mile to be this voice, be this Klingon.
Yeah, yeah. I like opening this show with Captain Ake giving a speech because it just kind of feels like home. Again, it feels like Star Trek. And when we get to the debate class, I love that the doctor is leading this. Like, it's a weird choice. He's a doctor, but he's also a
Sure.
doctor who's over 800 years old and has had to defend his very existence in debate situations
I
before.
just watched Author, so this is, like,
Oh,
fresh on my mind, and I
nice.
didn't even think about the consequences of not being, recognized as a person at
Yeah.
that time, you know?
Yep.
And you who could be more self-actualized than the doctor,
Yep.
and I do love that he is doing this, and I love that they said that facts are the important part here because, like I mentioned, Community Jeff Winger just goes for it, and he's like, "I'm gonna tell you, make it," and he loses the first round because he's just telling you feelings. And I do question though the ethics of this particular style of debate. Mir like interrupts everybody. I feel like that's not allowed.
Well, he's contentious, and he admits that he doesn't remember every Federation law. He might just be making stuff up, or at least,
Did he admit that?
well, yeah, he said that he had not memorized every Federation law, and yet he's there rattling things off. Maybe if it was something egregiously incorrect, the doctor would have stopped him. But he says that he's creative. So,
I didn't hear him say I didn't memorize it. I heard
yeah.
him say, and it reminded me of what like someone who is in prison in our current world might do, like familiarize themselves with law. So I got, he's like,
Mm,
you have a lot of time to learn something.
yeah.
So that's what I got. But then he got the element of debate, like how to be aggressive via prison as well.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and he is. And look, this whole idea about fact versus feeling, persuasion arguments, put a pin in that because
uh, a
yeah,
huge topic for this.
huge topic for this episode. Before we move on, though, I really like the replicator scene of them hanging out and having the dots bring them food.
So cute.
Okay, so we see the pizza,
Okay.
obviously, but I had to do a freeze frame, and one of those boxes has a label on it, and I know I'm gonna mess up the name here, but it's Ethiopian Nkula Fear. I think that's it.
Wow.
Ethiopian scrambled eggs. Yeah.
Amazing.
So I thought that was very cool.
I think we're gonna have to go find some. I do love Ethiopian food.
I
I
do
just have not had
too.
scrambled it's
Yeah,
so, so good.
yeah.
I have not had their scrambled eggs.
All right. Well, take us into the next act.
Flashback to Jaden with his family 16 months prior. We learn that Jaden's brother is the reason he's at Starfleet Academy. He's the only one in his family who sees Jaden for who he truly is, as a healer. Jaden returns to class in the present to advocate for the upcoming debate to be centered around the Klingon diaspora, which seems to be important even as the cadets are dealing with what seems to be fake news, harkening back to what you mentioned us to put a pin in. Jump to Vance telling Nala that Starfleet has found the perfect planet that would match the geothermal energy of the former Kronos, but Klingons will not accept Starfleet charity. So we learn that Kronos has been destroyed, essentially. Nala is tasked with igniting an old flame in a Klingon diplomat to see if she can use her wiles to encourage them to reconsider. Caleb offers to help Jaden for the debate, but this offer comes as an offense to Jaden, who also decides to argue against Federation intervention for the Klingon Empire. Cut back to the past with Jaden's brother in an attempt to acquire even more Starfleet accoutrement, let's just say. He wants to get a dermal regenerator for his brother, but the traitors stabbed him and poisoned him instead. Jaden wants to save his brother and go get the dermal regenerator, but his father orders him to stay, saying that they will not use Starfleet technology. His brother's final words are trust yourself and what I pretty much assume will be trust Starfleet.
Yep. Yep. I absolutely. All right. Can I just kick off this bit here by saying that I still do not know my way around the USS Athena.
Okay, so I was trying to pay attention because you said that.
Yeah.
Like, we do zoom in on where the view screen is.
Yes. Yeah. But
So
like,
that's helpful.
but you have the ship, you have the saucer, then you have this wing-like nacelle pattern that I don't get, and the ship comes apart and it pops out of there. But I thought you needed that to go to warp, but apparently you don't. It's very confusing, and I
It's
also
so
don't
pretty
know.
though, John.
It's pretty. Yes, but I need a map. I
Yeah.
need deck
Mm.
plans or something.
Yeah,
Uh,
we need the Otoy,
yeah,
uh,
right. I need to walk around.
recreation. Well,
Yeah,
because like, you can sort I think the delta is in the middle of the saucer, and that's where the quad is, where they had the Calica fight. Because it's
yeah.
like I think all the dorms line that.
To be
It's sort of
around
like
that? Okay.
yeah, so,
Yeah,
like, you see the light of the delta,
yeah,
and that's providing the fake light,
yeah,
whatever, and from what I understood is there's, like I've been in, like, a hotel suites, like Hilton Suites, where you can see the courtyard and all the rooms line that courtyard, so I think there's, like, stories of dorms or something
yeah,
there.
yeah.
I don't know where classes are being held. It does feel like it's right off of that center place,
And,
though.
and look, and I don't know where Nala's Frank Lloyd Wright inspired office is, where her quarters are, which is just a total design departure from everything else.
And we actually had a really great point. We haven't seen a ready room, which we don't necessarily need to see a ready room, but
Sure.
like where is like the teacher's lounge or something in this situation? That's
Yeah.
I'd like to see the teacher's
I'd like to
lounge.
see that. But they have a 60-year-old Coke machine in there or something. That's the way all teachers' lounges are.
I
Mimeograph machine.
Oh my god, the smell of the
Yep. Yep.
oh my cigarettes. I can feel it already. Literally, that's where Jet goes the entire day
Yeah.
when she's not teaching. 100%.
Yep.
So well, like I said, we kinda get a little bit more information on Klingons are not doing well.
No, they're not doing it, and I am under the impression that you are that Kronos, your
Cool.
Klingon is excellent.
Oh,
Um,
applause.
right. There is something very wrong with Kronos, probably gone.
Probably gone.
Yeah.
It seemed burn related in some way.
Yes. Yeah, I think they said that there were reactors on Kronos, which again made me think about, Star Trek 6 with Praxis exploding, and that just, yeah, wrecked a lot of Klingons, ruined their days. But here we've got even more information about the Klingon diaspora and all these people just being sent all across the galaxy. Has nice payoff when we get to the end, but we also spend time with Jaden's family, the Craggs. Meet the Craggs. Um,
Totally.
they're they're
Crag
really,
clan dinner.
they're really interesting. I like the casting here. I like the setup that they are deeply entrenched in the warrior tradition. But his brother, one sensitive soul kind of meets another, and even if they are different, his brother gets him, and probably gets him in more ways than Jaden gets himself at this point.
I think we get to the point at the end of this episode where Jaden even says that.
Yeah.
I love that Jaden has this person in his life
Yeah.
who sees him for who he truly is. We don't see Jaden being, like, out and out ostracized, but we do see his parents have a baby, maybe not clarify what they exactly expect of him.
Mm, mhm.
And we assume it's this Klingon tradition, which they're doing their best in this situation to hold on to. The mother found herbs that works for the Raktajino. I'm just joking. And like this, and the dad was able to make the bows in the Klingon way. So like
Yeah, yeah,
this whole episode is talking about what makes a Klingon, and even us as the audience, I think it's a little bit of a lesson for us. What do we expect a Klingon to be?
yeah,
And I
yeah,
really think they're diving into what you said is the issue, what you talked about last week, this monoculture,
yeah.
and we're challenging that here, I think, a
Yeah,
little bit.
definitely. Some great shout outs that I like in this episode. I really liked the doctor quoting Judge Aaron Satie. So nice payoff in that reference. And most people think of Picard saying those lines, with the first link, the chain is forged. But Picard is quoting a contemporary judge in his time, Judge Aaron Satie. So nice.
But John,
Yeah.
they're not doing their research, and they're just burning cannon as fuel. Like, they don't know
Yeah.
what they're wait, a Klingon?
They
What?
never even watched Star Trek. How dare you?
It's not Kronos, it's Kronos. You look like you're constipated.
It
Kronos.
depends on what side of the planet you're from.
Right.
Northsiders, Southsiders. We have a shout out to the Emerald Chain. So Orion Pirates still out there.
Oh,
I love this little exchange between Caleb and the other student in the debate class who starts spouting off Klingon conspiracy. And Caleb's just like, read a book, moron. I mean,
it's a little too close to the bone, right? Like,
Yep. Yep.
but because the thing is, like, we don't see that kid. What I want is, like, will that change that kid's opinion? It's not
Yeah.
going to.
Yeah.
But, like, I do love that, like, Caleb, it does know how to fight for, like, the right, and he seems to be educated to some extent.
Yeah.
And it felt a little too real, though, in that
Well,
moment.
Caleb is a master debater after all.
I hate them.
That
hate
that
them,
is the low-hanging fruit. That
but
that
he's
is the
1 to
obvious
1,
joke.
and he would do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can hate him and love him. Like, it's just like when my boyfriend makes a really dumb low-hanging fruit joke,
Yeah.
I do it,
Yeah.
especially during Mission Log Live. I hate myself, but it still had to be said.
Yeah. Yeah. Crag has a great line here, "Avoiding reality does not make it disappear." Very good stuff.
So what I think I kinda glossed over was the panic attack, basically, that Krog has,
Yeah.
when he's basically asked to just, like, even low stakes debate. But he's not afraid of the hard things. When his brother
Mm.
is dying, he goes, "I will go,"
Yeah.
and get like, his brother was just stabbed by the people he's saying, "I will go to and go get,"
Right.
right?
Right.
And in this moment, even though we've seen him, like, struggle, he's clearly been through hard things, and he makes the choice enough to follow through and see them through. I
Yeah.
think it's just the speaking part that, like, maybe in his peers that he's coming to a head. But, like, I really do wanna put it like a circle around this kid does do hard things.
Sure.
He's not that sensitive, it's just in a different way.
Sure. He's also very emotionally compromised by everything that's going on. There's a lot to dump on him in one moment.
But
Um,
there's a poor the writers were working with economy, but poor Jaden.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. We have a fun scene between Nala or Ake and Vance. I love him saying that her personal logs, were longer than War and Peace and more insane.
Why is everyone allowed to see them, John?
There is no privacy in the future. I mean, there's barely any now, but
You know
there's
what? This brings up a good point that, like, oh, everyone's so worried about privacy right now, and I
yeah,
know it's like Big Brother scary. Privacy is a relatively new concept in general, and so it could go away just as quickly as it came into our society, so
yeah,
he's
yeah,
obviously not shamed, and he's like, "Hey, get it, girl," and
yeah, yeah.
I love it's a very cute relationship
It
for
is.
sure.
They have nice banter with each other. And just to wrap up the act, we have this great dramatic moment of Jaden's brother mortally wounded, and his final words are to Jaden, not to his parents, but they're to Jaden about finding himself and being at peace. The really just encouraging, loving stuff. And then we had to have it. I knew we were going to get there with the primal scream, the death scream, and that, of course, had to be the way you end the act. I thought that was so nicely done.
I I think there was some really beautiful moments, and I just wanna reiterate what you said. Wonderful, beautiful casting,
Yeah.
and really interesting to see an intimate family sad moment from a
Mhm.
Klingon perspective.
Mhm.
All right,
All right.
bust out the blood wine. Things are about to get heated between a Klingon and a Lanthanite. But despite Wochuk's amenability, he too is not open to accepting help from Starfleet and denies the offering of a new planet. Caleb attempts to patch things up with Jaden by relating to him, saying their experience is the same, but it only widens the divide, with Jaden making it very clear to Caleb that they are not brothers. I feel like that's not what they were talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
Jaden attempts to repair the orb that his brother gave him, and we head back to the past to see why it was broken in the first place. Jaden's father takes him on his hunt, his rite of passage. A bird of prey appears, and in order to complete the ritual, Jaden must slay the bird. He refuses in honor of his brother. His father angrily takes up the bow, screams, points at the bird, and misses the shot. Jaden's father kicks the orb, attempts to destroy it, and Jaden and his father rumble and tumble, which actually causes the orb to fall off the promontory. Darum interrupts Jaden as he's trying to fix the orb to offer him breathing advice for when fear takes hold. And I'm not sure, but it looks like something else is taking hold.
Okay.
I know, I know. I'm actually not really happy about it, and I have a lot of thoughts about that, but I just had to wrap it up somehow.
There are thoughts to be had about that. Okay, so let's sort of start
Whoop,
backwards.
whoop, whoop,
Yeah, yeah,
whoop.
we'll start at the end and work our way back.
Oh, sure. Great.
All
Great. Let's
right.
get into it.
Yeah, yeah. So that scene that you mentioned, our audience covers multitudes of people with all different perspectives and orientations and points of view, which is awesome. There is definitely a way to look at this as a queer coded scene, and I think that is 100% an accurate, thoughtful, truthful way to look at that scene. I will also say that I think that, speaking very broadly, that scene is just a scene of intimacy. However you want to frame that, however you want to look at it, it is a scene of intimacy like we have not, I would say, not since Dr. Bashir met Garrick. Now, later on, we have this sort of post hoc look, and the actor is saying, "Oh yeah, we're playing this like flirtatious, almost sexual attraction." But at first, the first thing you get out of the gate is just this kind of seduction, and rather whether it is a seduction that is sexual or just a seduction that is personal, just bringing you into my space, getting under your skin, getting into your head. It is a scene unlike others we have witnessed in this show so far.
I think that is in Star Trek for the most part.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
think you're exactly right to mention that because that was my point. I think we are missing a couple things because again, we're dealing with younger actors.
Yeah.
So I can't really tell what the intention is at the end of this absolutely 100% intimate scene.
Yeah.
I think that is not just it's not necessarily a failure on the actors, it's a failure on the cinematography. That's just I'm just gonna say
Mm.
it. There's times where you can fill in a blank with what the intention is with how something is shot and how something is lingered. What I am trying to build up to say is awesome. I'm no I'm sure Jaden is gay. I'm here for it. I hope we don't have a huge coming out episode. I just want him to be who he is, and I don't care if Darum or whatever is bi. I think we're in an era, I would hope. Go ahead.
We established this thing about Darum. Somebody mentioned his polycule in the last episode or
I
episode before
missed
last.
that.
Yep, yep, yep,
Okay. So right, he's bi. Awesome.
yeah,
I
yeah,
love that it's like not a big deal. Kind of just like how I mentioned, be in the locker room together and not disrespectful.
yeah.
I do think it's a failure in a couple ways. Not only cinematography wise, because it's not clear what's happening between them besides Darum helping him.
Yeah.
I
It's also a
think
little aggressive.
but that's I think they're trying to say like men can
Yeah.
there's like a wall and they're trying to break it down,
Okay.
right?
Yep, yep.
Like, I'm not trying to pigeonhole all men, and I hope you can all tell I'm doing my best to like fully understand the broad spectrum of human and even Klingon emotions.
Sure.
Men typically need to get mad and then they can get emotional.
Mm,
And we're also dealing with the Klingon here. We don't even know much about Kyonians, right? I just think personally they had an opportunity to show us platonic male intimacy and not turn it into something romantic. I think there would have been a stronger message there
mm.
because we're gonna see Jaden date. Go for it. I think. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I have like a strong sense Jaden is clearly out there, loves himself a guy, and I can't wait for that. I just think that it didn't need to go sexual or romantic because it's just as important for men to see intimacy can exist without that.
Well, and that's just the thing, though. I think you can look at that scene, and however you interpret it, you're right. You know? I mean
So you just don't want to debate me, I guess.
yeah, no, no, no. I mean,
I'm just
I
kidding.
think that's fine. I think it is partially an awkward scene, and
Yes.
it maybe it lacks the focus that it needs, but I think it is also intentionally ambiguous. So again, like you can pick that apart in any number of ways, and I think you still come out at the other end and go, "Wow, something just happened there."
I will walk back the word failure. I
Mm,
think I think you're right that it doesn't like art is art. It doesn't need to be clearly defined. I do like I just know how helpful it is for some men to like watch Lord of the Rings. You're watching
mm,
some like brotherhood and beautiful male intimacy and it's not made fun of, you know? I think the success of this scene is they walk away and they're fine.
yeah.
Like, it was like they didn't know what happened, but they didn't, like, go, "Oh, cool, bro. See you later."
Well,
You know?
and you know what? To that point, though, yeah, cut to later, there's Darum in the audience, kind of pulling for
Reminding him of
yeah,
what he taught him. And it
that's
and it
the payoff. Yeah,
it is the payoff, and I just got chills when you said that. The scene is a little 0 to 60,
yeah,
but
yeah,
it's a brave scene, and I don't care who you are, if you allow yourself to not be, like, swayed by, like, hateful people, it's a beautiful scene that has a lot of question marks, but in a good way.
sure.
I
Yeah.
appreciate your thought process on that,
Well,
so thank you.
I'm glad we started at the end and worked our way back because that is just like the big glaring light that we need to address here.
That's exactly right.
But let's talk about some of the other moments here. Again, I think all these flashback scenes are really well done. They're well shot. They're well acted. They reinforce what we need to know about the characters. Um, and of course, the stakes of everything being very high about the Klingon diaspora refusing Federation technology or charity rather.
Charity,
But
yeah.
but we get to that in the most personal way which is our Klingon diplomat, Wochak. Oh my. I are we
The
all shipping
chemistry
Wo
is insane
yeah. It sparks, just sparks everywhere.
immediately.
Yeah. I love that scene so much. I want more of them. Yeah.
I don't know that we will get them. I
Yeah.
think there's something to be 'cause if we fast forward into act 3, we get the end result of their negotiations.
Yeah.
We learn that, like, they decided, however incorrectly or correctly, like, she's married to the sea brandy, and he can't make it work because she's not Klingon probably.
Right.
So, like, they've already tried this and it didn't work. So, meaning, like, a long term. So, I just don't know if we'll see him again or if this is just another one of her the I love him though.
First
I
of
love
all,
him
that
so
that actor is wonderful, and I
have you what has he
apologize,
done
I didn't
before?
get the name. He's wonderful, but how nice to see characters who are older, who have this history, also have 0 shame, you know? It's just it was all the elements to make this sort of perfect moment in an episode.
You know what's so interesting about this? I was watching a YouTube episode, someone's, like, deep dive, and was actually like it was like a case for Maygel in, TNG.
Sure.
She was
Yeah.
unabashedly sexy,
Yeah.
and yet she was lambasted for it, whatever. But, like, sex was missing in TNG kind
Oh,
of, and
absolutely. Yeah.
so much so it's missing in Voyager that they had to cast Jerry Ryan,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, there's certain things that don't need sex. They made the mistake in Mission Impossible. I told you I watched all those movies.
Yeah.
They tried to go and bring sex in. It doesn't need it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
What I think you just said is exactly right. The shame factor around sex should be also something that we've evolved past
Yeah.
in this society that is utopic,
Yeah.
essentially, and they're embodying that here. And it is sexy.
Yeah, well, and speaking to the tone of the show and the tone of that scene, they played it light. They
Mhm.
got the fun out of it without making it a joke, and that is a really delicate line that, again, I've said before, Star Trek does not always get that right, but this time they got it right. So,
It's why you cast master actors. I think that's really, like,
really is. Yeah.
it because you can do so much with so little. I ship him. I don't know if we'll ever see him again. I hope we do. He is hot,
Yeah.
hot, hot. I'm
Silver
into it.
Silver Fox Klingon, yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see if my boyfriend can do facial hair like that. No, but you're so right. There's so much nuance. There's so much fun. We again, they're doing a great job of showing us, not telling us.
Yes, that's it. Alright, bring us into act 3.
Pray for me.
Yeah.
An eager crowd and a hungover Nala attend the great debate. Mir and Jaden go head to head. Jaden is able to gain control over his panic attack, and after some serious volleys, the debate becomes personal and heated, and they are dismissed from the debate. Lura to the rescue. We get a little bit of her lore and a bit of why she didn't first seek out a potential mentorship relationship with Jaden. Jaden shares with her his altercation with his father, and we learn that his father and family left him after. Being Klingon herself, she was able to reframe his father's actions as acceptance and setting him free. She names him a warrior of words. She tells him of the planet that the Federation offered the Klingon Empire, and he immediately wants to return to the debate stage. Jaden proudly claims to be a warrior and that his brother understood the Kalesh myth. Its meaning escaped Jaden himself until now. This clear insight has given Jaden an idea, a Klingon solution to a Klingon problem. The saucer separates, Crag steps onto the bridge, and it's off to the new planet, Fawn Alpha. Ake hails General Wochuk. Vance declares any ship invading the current territory an enemy vessel. A sly smirk exchanged by the former lovers, a fleet of Klingons arrive, and they pillow fight it out. Wochuk proudly claims Fawn Alpha as spoils of war. Wochuk also presents Crag with a weapon, honors him as a warrior, and informs Jaden that his parents are alive.
What a story. The pillow
Kitomer,
fight.
by the way,
Okay,
Kitomer,
okay, look,
do we just have to say it?
yeah, Sam says Kitomer instead of Kittimer, and somewhere right now, some Star Trek fan is furious because
Furious.
they just ruined Star Trek. They just wiped out 60 years of Star Trek, you know?
No!
No. Okay, but let me tell you how many friends I have, by the way, who have read things all their lives and not known how to pronounce necessarily a word. I can
You
let
know
it
what?
go,
I
can we?
love that, and also,
Yeah,
she's 17.
right.
And
Not
so
well, not only she's 17, she's like 3 weeks old.
I know.
You know?
This is very cute. I mean, there is the argument that she should know, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's awesome that she doesn't, and you're so right. So, like, I love Lord of the Rings. It was one of the things that brought my boyfriend and I together. His best friend had a Lord of the Rings themed wedding, kind of.
Oh, wow.
Kind of. They actually really didn't, but they wanted to have, like, the cake be one of the castles. It's a whole thing. He says Tolkien, 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 and it's Tolkien.
Tolkien, right.
It's
Yeah.
killing my boyfriend every time he says it, but he loves him, and he still it's not like he doesn't know the books well because he says Tolkien,
Right.
like, it I'm just saying I like it I heard it and I went, "Ugh," and then I moved on.
Look, you physically assaulted me when I said Legos instead of Lego.
This
So,
is so true. Did you also do that in front of a Lego master? I think that might have been why.
may probably so.
I said, "Lego."
So yeah, I think we can all just take a breath. We can be okay. But look, what I love is that during those debates, we pointed out the Organian Treaty, which is from the TOS episode "Errand of Mercy." We pointed out the Khitomer Accords, or Khitomer, depending again what side of the river you're from. Star Trek 6. So that's cool. One thing I'm very impressed to see is not just Ake showing up hungover. Ake is showing up still drunk.
I missed that on my first watch, but I was like, "Oh, this is no, she doesn't look hungover yet."
Yeah, no,
But Laura clocks it right away, and I
she
love
is
that.
drunk. All right, speaking of Laura Thok, though, let's talk about this scene with Jaden. Uh, wow, 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 wow.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
earlier in the act, we have the scene of abandonment, and that is a very heavy emotional moment. And then in comes Laura Thok, and man, what a great scene. But I'm not negating how great a scene it is.
Okay,
I
okay.
I have a little bit different take on this, and I'm gonna share my thoughts when we get to our wrap up here in a couple of minutes.
Okay, okay, okay.
What if those details aren't true? What if she's just making this up, just interpreting something that is helpful? There is a
Mm,
line here that Jaden Cragg has when he's in the debate. And of course, in that debate, we have all these great, great moments, but he says, "Our culture was born in myth." And I think that is an important idea, not just for the episode, but it's about Star Trek as a piece of aspirational storytelling anyway, but also about how we as human beings tell stories. We shape our myth that we tell each other all the time. It defines who we are, right? So this stuff allows Jaden Cragg to find his voice. And maybe it's okay that these myths that are specifically mythic, they have different interpretations. Kailash knew the difference between both war and peace, and he's actually
was the
said
brother named Kailash as well?
the Klingon,
Oh,
not a
the myth.
god, but the
Yeah.
sort of the progenitor of the Klingon warrior society. Now,
Right, I'm sorry, I thought the brother was also named after him.
oh,
Got
no,
it.
no, no. But the story of Kailash here about everybody laying their weapons at his feet, like, well, we have to acknowledge that part of the myth too, because it basically says you have to prepare for peace. You have to actually decide you're going to live in peace after
Wow.
you've done your job as a warrior. But my oh my, some great, great moments out of this, some great moments in that debate. I love asking who are the Klingons if they don't have self definition. But to Caleb's point, how much isolation is too much? What if they isolate themselves right into extinction? All the heavy stuff going on in this act.
It's so Trek. I kind of felt like this, and we'll get to it when we wrap up the series,
Yeah.
but, like, this particularly with Laura and Jaden is, like, Trek.
Yeah.
That's so
Yep.
Trek.
Yep.
I do wanna offer this too because I what the way you're positing this is so fascinating, because, like, even in the Trek Files recently, Larry was covering about how Gene Roddenberry called his own work basically a work of fiction
Yeah.
or aspirational.
Yeah.
So you're
Yeah.
exactly right. Like the myth is story is who wins and who tells the ending. I will say just from a personal philosophical standpoint, someone taught me stop, challenge, choose. And I felt like Laura was helping him with that. So
Yeah.
the philosophy is something has happened that makes you feel a certain way. Maybe it's how you behaved or how someone ignored you, or, you said hello and they didn't say hello back, but now you're rattled about it all night. In that moment, you're asked to stop that rumination, stop that thought process, challenge your assumptions about
Mm.
it. Okay, I am assuming that because she doesn't like me, she didn't say hi to me, or dad
Mm.
left me, which is terribly gutting, that scene.
Yeah.
Challenge is, so you go, okay, maybe it's not that. Is that what I think? Is that what it is? And choose a alternate interpretation that helps you get the best outcome out of that interaction. So,
Yeah.
okay, well, maybe she just was busy and didn't hear me, and I have to work with this person. So I'm going to choose that they didn't hear me, so that in the future, I'm not walking up to them with resentment.
There's a bit of Stoic philosophy baked into that, which is, you can't control the circumstance. You can control your reaction to it. And I'm here for the scenes like this. Yeah.
It was beautiful. I think she had this solution really quickly, but I think even if Jaden believes it or doesn't, it was enough for him to come to his personal
Yeah. Well,
realization.
hold that thought, because I'm going to wrap up with that. But by the way, in the battle, I love the whole premise of the battle. I love that we have the Lexington. I love that we have the Riker. I love that we have the Klingon battle music being used again. It's just, you called it a pillow fight. I think it's great.
It's they had pillow talk with the blood wine, and now they got the pillow
Yeah,
fight.
the pillow fight.
It's so cute. When my boyfriend and I were watching it, he goes, "Wait, why are they gonna fight each other?" I was like, "Hold on, did you not see the smirk where he's like, 'I got it.'" Like, but we're just about to have some fun.
uh,
And I love, like, the humility and just, like, total being humble, and Vance going, "You bested us, and thank you so much for not killing us."
right.
It's it's so charming, it's so wonderful.
Yeah.
I love it.
All right, let's wrap it up. What happens at the end?
All right, our denouement, Jaden is finally able to consume warrior stew. And Caleb gives Jaden a fixed orb. Jaden does see Caleb as a brother and realizes he doesn't have to let his brother go in order to let Caleb in. End of the episode, baby.
Oh, with an episode, a lot of poignant, emotional moments. First of all, I love the guys just sitting there having dinner together. I love the pretense with the stew, the warrior stew you can only have if you're a warrior. And that line that Jaden says, maybe the trick is to not let go of the past, but to let the present in. What a lovely thought.
It's so beautiful.
Soul of a
It's
poet.
I mean,
Yeah.
so I thought it was very funny when Laura's like, "You are a warrior with words," and I was like, "He's not been doing really well with those
No, he
lately.
really
So how did we get to there?"
yeah.
But he gets there when he goes back up on the debate stage, right? And then he gets here with this whole summary. It's so beautiful. It harkens to like a 10 forward denouement in so many ways. It's not as cheeky, but it's got like some TOS head nod, but
Yeah.
like some real serious like thought process around it. I'm just realizing now, and don't forgive me, I'm a little dense. I'm so glad they didn't do mom and dad don't accept me for being gay.
Uh,
Mom and dad don't accept me for not being a warrior
yeah.
is the one-to-one for that.
Yeah.
And I because I don't want that story. And I know people I mean that as like we don't need that story anymore. We need the story of normalizing
Yeah.
homosexuality. So it makes sense to use this allegorically, I
Yep.
think. And I think they did it successfully.
Yeah, they absolutely did. Okay, before we get to our final thoughts here, standout moment for you.
Naughty Nala, man. I'm in it. I love a Klingon daddy now. I'm into it.
What a great scene.
What
Yeah.
about you?
Look, there's a ton of great scenes in this episode. There really are. The heartbreak of Jaden being abandoned, Laura Thok helping him reframe his experience. The moment that Jaden is made a part of the mission, he goes onto the bridge and he's really out of water here, doesn't know if he belongs, but they welcome him in. Oh, and then that scene where Woodchuck gives him the weapon that his father made. Oh,
Yeah, to give a little bit of credit to people that I disparaged earlier, as he walks on the bridge, that cinematography and how they handle that moment
yeah.
is wonderful. I did forget to mention the longest wink in recorded history when it did work and Nala looks over to Jaden
Uh,
and I think falls half asleep. It
yeah,
was very weird, but that was a really beautiful, like, symbolic and important moment for he's on a bridge,
yeah,
Starfleet,
yeah,
and that's pretty darn cool.
yeah.
Do you have any questions that you're holding on to that you're looking forward to being answered, hopefully, in future episodes?
So we did a lot to explore the central tragedy of Jaden's life and get him back on more solid footing. So my question is, does that stick? Like, I
Mm.
don't think we solved everything, but a lot happened here. So does he show up in the next episode or the next 3 episodes or 5 or however many seasons this goes on as a more sure-footed, self-possessed version of Jaden? So we'll see. What about you? Do you have a question going
I think
forward?
it's a great question. I think it's a question we have for all of these episodes. Okay, is Darum gonna keep the lesson? Is
Yeah,
Jaden gonna keep like, how will we see them battle these same demons moving forward, but not in a way where it's a huge step back.
yeah,
And I'm really just interested to see if and or what of Laura's past needs to be worked on, and will she be able to do that with Jaden?
yeah,
Like, what is that mentorship gonna net for both of them?
yeah, yeah. Agreed, agreed.
All right, well, now
Yeah.
this is important. I am just here to listen to you share, your final thought.
Well, I appreciate you keeping the soapbox nice and, polished and clean. You just slide it over my way because, look, these episodes, we have our criticisms for sure, but they are always giving me something to think about, especially after I watch it 2, 3, sometimes 4 times before we do our conversation together. So for this one, let's start with the personal story because it really works here. For a couple of weeks, you and I have been critical about the whole YA romance elements of
No Tarima, which
right,
was
yes, no Tarima,
and no shade to the actor, by the way. It's
none.
just the story.
Yes, but it was refreshing here to get something different, which was this deeply personal story about Jada and Crag, who doesn't fit the mold. He's got to learn to find his own voice. Tall order for an hour-long show, right?
Yeah.
What truly emotionally moved me was the reframing of Jaden's family story. His parents don't get him. His culture doesn't have room for him, and he is literally abandoned on that planet. But the moment that lands the hardest is the possibility that his father's final action wasn't a rejection at all. It was love, a deliberate choice to give his son the freedom to shape his own destiny. And it wasn't a gift of status or a material thing, it was the gift of agency. And that moment drives home how much this episode is about family, even when love is expressed in very imperfect, very painful ways. Now, from there, this episode opens into a much bigger idea, especially around speech and debate. And what I liked here is how nuanced that conversation is. So we're presented with a tragedy, and immediately we, the audience, are asked, just like the people in the show, is it too soon to discuss it? Now, whether engaging politically is somehow inappropriate, and that is a question that we hear constantly in the real world. But here's the thing, this episode also treats debate as performance. It's not
Mm.
just about facts, it's about persuasion, about which version of the truth sounds the most convincing. And it's notable that the doctor, again, like we talked about earlier, he's the one who steps in as a moderator. He calls out the bad faith arguments and misinformation. And that feels quietly radical. Would love to see more of that in real life. But that idea leads directly into what I think is the episode's strongest thematic move, and that is myth or the power of myth. So go with me. Now, Jaden argues that the Federation needs to hear Klingons as Klingons speak to allow a Klingon solution to a Klingon problem. And underlying that argument is an understanding that cultures aren't held together by facts alone, but by stories, shared narratives that don't have to be literally accurate to be emotionally or spiritually true. Which brings us back to Laura Thach, one of our favorites. I don't think she's lying to Jaden, but I'm not sure she's being strictly factual either. She wasn't there. So what she's doing is reframing his past in a way that gives him peace and confidence and direction. So much like the debates in this episode, the facts may be the same, but the meaning we draw from them is open to interpretation. And that to me feels like the heart of the episode. It's not just about Klingons finding a home, it's about how we choose the stories that shape us. And when it's okay for those stories to guide us forward, even if they aren't perfectly, literally true.
John, is this one of the best Star Trek episodes of all time now? You just made
Whoa!
me think really differently about this episode.
That is a big question. I think this episode does a lot of things. It nails the character moments. It nails the big Star Trek ideas. And it also nails this much more global question of identity and story. And of course, there's diplomacy woven throughout all of this about meeting people where they are, right? It's super strong. And I
So
was so glad to get this after the previous 3 episodes.
I think it kind of feels like how the Orville came out early with About a Girl in episode 3
Yeah.
in their first season run. It was supposed to air later, but Brandon Braga knew we need to stake our claim as like a more serious show. And this feels like you could have lost your audience if you didn't have something like this any sooner. Like
Yeah.
you needed to get this episode out. And I think the reason why I'm saying this is good Trek is some of the fair criticism about Kurtzman era is you could just take this story and put it anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. Very true.
You can't do that here.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's some things you like, every story is the same, it's just a different cloak or a different shield or whatever. It's like,
Yeah.
but this is so Trek and it feels so good to watch.
Trek has had this track record of doing the clever diplomatic solution, right? I don't think I've ever seen anything like a fake battle, which,
So
which by the way, is adorable. It's the most adorable battle. Okay. But there's so much payoff to that because we know 1,000 years of Federation versus Klingon, et cetera, right? Oh,
it's like it's such a good meta thing and
yeah.
it's so good story and you're totally right, like Wochuk killed Nala on the battlefield for Fon Alpha, like those stories are going to be told. How
Right.
sweet. And you know what I really loved too is I'm curious for how Krog Jaden will be part of that myth.
Oh, yeah. He's the one
What
who
role does he play there?
Yeah, that's really true. And look, part of the reason that I felt like this episode had emotional resonance is like at the core here, I love the fact that we can all interpret the, say, relative morality of how Jaden's father treats the
Yep.
situation, right?
Yep.
He does something horrible to this kid, but we're given the opportunity to reframe it as something positive, right? And I think about parent-child relationships. I think about relationship with my father, and it's not that he ever did anything like that by
No, you had a
any stretch of
beautiful
the
father. I
imagination.
know that for a fact.
No, no,
Yeah,
no.
no.
What's beautiful though is just if you look at the story Laura Thach is telling, it's this story of like, look at this gift. Look at this gift that your father gave you to go be your own person. And it's not a gift that's a thing that you can just wrap up, put under a tree, whatever. No. This is something that sets you up for life. Hard lesson for Jaden to swallow because there's all these other cultural trappings that come along with it, difficulty that comes along with it. But wow, if you're just looking at the story of a family and how they interact, difficulty and all, you do that in just a handful of flashbacks here. Really nicely done.
John, the problem with your brain is now I want to talk for 2 more hours about this. But you know what?
Can't do that.
We can do it on Monday.
We'll do it on Monday. Yes.
This aired you either got it early being on Patreon or you got to watch it on YouTube. You have thoughts about this episode. John and I will do our best just to listen, but I still want to talk about so much of this. So you can become a Patreon member for free. Join us free live on Monday nights at 7 p.m. PT,
Yeah.
Eastern, 10 p.m.
Right.
And you can share your thoughts with us about this episode.
That's all you have to do. It's free, patreon.com/Mission Log. We cannot wait to hear from you. And Jessica, I guess that's Mission Log Reactor for this week. Thank you.
That's it. Sarcastic Vulcan
Vulcan signing off.